What is going on, you guys? It's your boy, the Sleepy Shepherd here, and we're back. Episode 21. Grab a beer. It's time. No, I'm recording this a little later, so maybe my voice is a little sexier. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. This might be one of those ones I don't end up recording because I fall silent halfway through. It doesn't actually happen as much as I would think. I think in a fair number of these attempts to record these, I would eventually at one point just stop talking because it's a lot harder than it sounds to talk for an hour without without talking, especially without a script. So finding things that are at least worthwhile to talk about for an hour is a challenge in itself. So I've probably in the 21 videos now, if this one posts, so I guess you'll know if you're watching this. I've only flubbed, I think 3 recordings where I legit, I just stopped at one point. The farthest I think I got was 30 minutes, and then I decided I just didn't have anything else to talk about and didn't want to. I mean, part of it is rambling, so it's not like I'm going to say I didn't want to ramble, because I was obviously so concerned with the quality of these, but it is more of a challenge to talk for 30 minutes without stopping. It really depends on the day too. I feel like I don't know if there's something wrong with me or what, but I feel like some days I could just talk and where's the off button on this moron? Other days I'm more silent and reserved, and I kind of have to force myself to talk a little bit. Not in any kind of threatening way, but in a way that's like right now. I have to kind of try to articulate my thoughts because I'm gears are turning instead of just being automatic. So I don't know. Yeah. So I was thinking about a common piece of advice that's given to people. That it gets one of those things that sounds great in theory, and you can say this as much as you want, but the practicality of which it becomes a little more frustrating to me when you look into the details of what this is supposed to be. I realize the nature of this. I'm just overanalyzing and whatever. That's the whole point of this. So go fuck yourself. If that's the argument against this. So fair enough. But they say, because I'm in a very transitory period of my life. I feel like people of my age generally are. They're either trying to convince themselves that they've found their passion, or are actively looking for one, and are unapologetic about it. Like me. And I mean, I would even think defining some kind of passion, some life passion that you're going to dedicate your life. Like, how are you supposed to decide at 20, what you want to do for 40 years, right? I don't know. I don't even know what I want for breakfast, for God's sakes. I mean, I don't eat breakfast, but that's like an example of something. I don't, where uncertainty is trying to make these big decisions about what you want to do or whatever it is. And I guess, the old rule of thumb, back in the day, there was just, there wasn't really, we have so much more choice and freedom now, which is a good thing, but it's ultimately, there's a level of stakes that's involved with, having the ability to choose. Because, let's say you're, you were in another lifetime, you're a farmer or something. And, the reason your parents had kids was to help on the farm. So you don't really have a choice. You're going to be a farmer, right? And in some ways, it's like, I'm not saying, I wish I, had no choice of what to do. Like, obviously, it's a privilege to have a choice. But it's hard because you have to try to decide what to make the right decision. And then your ability to kind of back out and do something else is always compromised. And you have kind of more riding on it now, especially if you were someone that chose to invest in a college education. You have to, choose wisely, I suppose. And especially just with how shitty jobs are and how, I realize I say that inconsiderate of historical jobs, right? Where, you know, relatively speaking, our lives and our jobs are easy as fuck, comparatively, of course. But I'm speaking from, you know, the standards of a modern human, right? Kind of the, you know, which is unrealistic, I guess. You know, but I don't think you should be, like, people should, the new generation should be ashamed that they have such easy lives. It's like, isn't that the whole point? Like, did you guys work all that and do all, do those tough jobs so that the next generation could have easier jobs? And so then I guess the one thing, the boomer take would be like, oh, well, you damn kids are, ungrateful. Like, I had to, serve my limbs as hamburgers back in my day because that's how hard my job was, and like, now you're mad that you have to, clock in and clock out, like, so you can't work from home and do nothing. So, I mean, I understand that sentiment of it, right? But I think part of something that, again, here comes technology as the boogeyman again, but part of it comes from the fact that you can, see comparatively what some other people are doing for their jobs, and it's a joke, like what is possible in terms of your jobs, and so people are mad that they're feel like they're not getting what they're worth, considering such and such. Part of it's just the awareness factor, like nowadays it's super easy to find somebody that is making quadruple what you're making and doing literally nothing. Like, they're just kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs, and they're making multitudes times more whatever your income is. And that kind of sparks like this indignance where it's like, what the fuck? Like, this guy's not doing anything. Like, why is he so important? Where, as back as, whereas when technology wasn't so prevalent, you never saw that person, right? So it's like the ignorance is bliss type of thing. So on one end, it's like, okay, it's good that, being a proponent of ignorance is like, kind of the devil's position, right? In the sense that it's like, it would have been better if we just didn't know, right? Versus the other side of it being, now that you do know, it's like, you're going to complain about everything because, you want it to be as easy as this other person, right? And I guess part of it, in my eyes, just comes back to the fact that it's just not fair. And so, I mean, part of the solution to this, all this frustration about this is just, I don't know, it's not fair. So, like, it's not, I'll say there's no use in, like, fighting for what's right or something. I understand that sentiment. I'm just not going to go parading around, because it's it's a losing game, I feel, but it just isn't fair, and especially if your circle of influence is very small, like mine is. I have influence over what? Like, I have really, what I do have influence over, I have influence over what I do every day, right? And maybe like a couple people that I talk to, right? I could impact somebody that's, in my little circle. Outside of that, what real sway do I have? Not much, right? And so to me, it never made that much sense why people would get all up in arms about some particular issue where it's like, like the wars are kind of nitpicky, like tough examples to use just because it's a war, But people say, we should have done this, where we should have not done this. So we should bomb such and such and not bomb these people or whatever. I don't even know what the arguments are anymore. I don't really follow. You have control over the nuclear launch codes? You do? Like, do you have any influence over whether or not any of this happens? And let's say it does happen or it doesn't. Again, what's the impact on you, right? It's like complaining about gas prices, but like you drive an electric vehicle. So what's the difference? Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, I mean, maybe you're mad for your friends who drive a gas vehicle, like, but and it's not, again, the car example is kind of bad because people, people tend to get riled up about stuff like that. I don't know, gas prices and wars and stuff. It's like, it's very American type, like, passion, right? Which is good. Passion is always good. But some of it's like, okay, what do you really have control over, right? What's worth worrying about? In my mind, it's the same as like screaming at the weather, right? Like, really, what are you gonna do? Pump a bunch of water in the air so it rains or something like that? Like, how are you supposed to control the weather, right? So then, what's the point in screaming at it? Like, in the same way, I see a lot of just like larger social issues as the equivalent of people screaming at the weather, right? You have no control over it. And okay, fine. The one caveat to my take there is, oh, well, what about voting, idiot? Like, you ever heard of a ballot? Okay, fair enough. I hear you. Okay, again, hot take. I personally, I don't think the vote matters that much, honestly. Like, with money talks, you know that. And so if somebody influential, like advertisements, funding campaigns, like all that, how important really is my voice? And how opinionated am I on any of these things anyway, right? So it's like, yeah, maybe if you band together and, put a viral tweet out there, you could get more people to show up and vote for something. And vote for something that, again, doesn't really impact your day-to-day, or, again, to impact gas prices if you drive an electric vehicle. What's the point? Like, it's not, it's not really impacting you in any way, right? Maybe it's just like you want to see some greater social change, which is fine. That's a good thing, actually. It's just I'm not someone that's driven by that. So what I mean by that is that I think certain people are psychologically driven to obviously be put effort towards different ideas and different things, right? Some people are very much they're passionate and they put a lot of psychological effort towards social issues, right? And that's something that's fine. But that's a conscious decision that they made, whether it's an unconscious decision that they made, or whether it's genetic or whatever it is. Either way, there's people like me that aren't as I don't really get excited about anything like that, right? Like, and I think it's wrong to get mad at me, someone like me that's like, why aren't you all riled up about this issue, right? Why aren't you mad? Why aren't you as mad as I am? It's like, okay, well, like, what? It's like you're asking why I'm not as passionate about some random issue that you are. Like, I just don't care. I don't see you can't like impose your passions on me, right? It's like, let's say I'm really passionate about scuba diving, right? I swear that scuba diving is the answer to all of life's problems. And I guess it's a stupid example, so I'm being reductive. But I'm going to say, well, I can't believe it. Why don't you care about scuba diving? It's like, well, I'm just not a scuba diver. I've never done it. I don't care. Like, it's just not a thing I'm, real excited about. So it's cool that you like scuba diving, but it's not really it's not my thing. I don't know. I don't really see it as being a big part of my life. And I realize I'm equating, like, relatively substantial and, very touchy, sensitive issues for people. I'm equating that with scuba diving, which is insulting. I absolutely understand that. But is it that much different? Right? It's like, we got to protect the coral reefs or something. I mean, one thing I will say, the environment's a topic I'm not going to get on. I arguably shouldn't even get into this topic, but I think it's something that's interesting. There's like a stat or something that, dozens of species of animals are going extinct every day. And I just want to point out a quick scientific caveat, which is why I want to talk about this. Because people you make it sound like that's like a human imposed thing, right? That thousands of dozens or whatever the number is of species are going extinct every day, and it's because it's because of humans. First off, if you understand evolution, like from scientific perspective, that's kind of what that is, right? Like when we evolved from like monkeys, okay, and at several points along that way, lots of other species, again, which we've named, they went extinct because we evolved from them. So we no longer became like, I'm not saying that the only reason that these weird animals are becoming extinct is because they're evolving into something else. We just don't call them that anymore. But ultimately, with our catalog, our extensive catalog of these different animals, it shouldn't be a surprise that a lot of them are going extinct all the time. Because again, that's kind of what nature does. And I don't think just because something's going extinct, it's like equating it to like blue whales or something, right? Something where we have a direct impact, like we farm them for whatever, and making it seem like we're doing that to dozens and dozens of animals. A lot of animals are just going extinct because that's nature, bro. Nature's hard. It kills a lot of species. It actually is, more species have died than have existed. So, like over the period of evolution, part of that is with our naming conventions and like, you know, our kind of oh shit, this is gonna be tough. Us like naming all these new species and like creating these very complicated graphs that are tracking all these different weird animals that have existed over a period of times, and then realizing there's not that many of them left. So we're not even like that in tune with oh my god, this is a mess. The tracking of these. Sorry, I'm trying to like rattle in these animals, and I am very confused about what the hell I'm talking about while I'm doing that. So I probably should have picked some more menial tasks to do while I talk about this stuff, especially if I'm going to try and tackle something like, you know, why species going extinct is not that big of an issue. I think it's important for like specific animals that are like that we have a direct impact. Something like blue whales, right? Like they're going extinct because we're farming them, right? But like, oh, like the West African hummingbird is going extinct and we should save them. It's like, okay, well, if it's a natural process, that they're just like, it's not like, are we doing something to impact their environment or their? Cause that's one thing, but like a lot of these animals are just going extinct because their area and their spot in the food chain is being taken by a superior creature, and that's just evolution. And it's not as direct as that. I realize I'm being very reductive. Like, so if some biologist were to jump on this video, they could jump down my throat. But on a general level, like, some of that is just evolution. And the extinction of species is normal, right? It's like blaming the dinosaurs' extinction on us, right? It's like we didn't do that. So it's not like we're just blaming everything. I think we're just looking for ways to be, I don't know, blame ourselves for stuff. Some people just want to like blame humans for everything, and yeah, humans probably haven't been great to most of the world. Especially in terms of the environment and animals and stuff like that. We've done a pretty bang up job with, cultivating cattle and stuff. It's kind of impressive, honestly, just as a species that, like, essentially these monkeys with brains have just run around and have just ruled shit. Like we just come in here, we're like, nah, like y'all, these cows walking around, like, nah, we're gonna like automate this shit. Which it's kind of hard, but at the same time, it's oh no, these cows. We're just the dominant species, And anyway, sorry, I got on a tangent there of human excellence. But where'd they go? Oh no. Oh, I got one. Cool. Oh yeah. Well, anyway, humans are pretty impressive, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I think if you're going to make it relative to the parents' generation, I'm not sure. At some point, it stopped being impressive and just kind of was showing off. But whatever. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now. I'm just going to switch topics because I don't really want to talk about this anymore. So go fuck yourself. I'm thinking about just a bucket thought. Come over here, you fuck. I'm thinking about, like, because I talked a little bit about external validation, like in the last video, and how it's, you know, like where you get your validation from in terms of, like, you know, really who you're listening to, right? So whether you're like getting validation from good grades or getting validation because you're attractive, from, you know, from substance use, you know, sex or whatever it is, however you're really getting your external validation. And I was thinking, okay, well, you know, in that argument, you know, am I making the case that, you know, you should try to remove all external validation, right? And live entirely through, like, kind of oh my god, this sheep has got to go finally. And live and exist entirely through internal metrics of validation, right? And part of this is like this idea of like I don't give a fuck about no one else, what anyone else thinks. I'm gonna do me type of thing, you know, which is like as a common sentiment, right? And it's the advice I was trying to say earlier before I got sidetracked with the whole evolution thing. I don't know why the fuck I was talking about that. I didn't even do it justice either. Like I totally butchered the whatever argument. No, jackass. Damn it. Where the fuck? Whatever. I think I totally butchered that argument. But anyway, what I was trying to say before is like, you know, the advice you hear is like, you know, do you like don't give a fuck about what anyone else says. You know, don't listen to anyone else when everyone, you know. And I think obviously that's probably okay advice for a good number of people, right? I'm not gonna say that's just outright bad advice, because you know a lot of times it is tough, especially if you're always trying to measure up to someone else. My issue with that is like, you know, is it possible to even exist, like getting off the grid of validation, of like external validation of any kind, right? So, okay, assuming you're out of school and there's no like grades as a form of validation, right? Then, you know, the other common areas would be like, you know, job performance as an area of validation. Some people take a lot of pride in their job performance, whether that's their managers or their salary, whether it's the money that they're getting from the job, like that. It's a source of validation, same as like getting good grades or something. So it's not like, you know, I'm gonna equate those, and I think I'm gonna do so fairly because that's, you know, that's fair, I think. I need to find one more sheep. Damn it. But I was thinking, okay, well, let's say you remove all source of external validation, right? And you're just totally operating internally. So you create your own metrics for health. Like you're not gonna, which is fine. I don't think that's like, you don't have to subscribe to some standard of like bodybuilding perfection to be, you know, to be healthy. That's fine. So you have your own metrics for health, for, you know, mental and physical well-being, and you know, pursuit of all that. And then, I mean, I don't know why I started thinking about it this way, but you know, then like, okay, you don't listen to what anyone else says, but in some ways you're still like subjected to like society's perception, right? And the easiest way I thought about this was like, looking for a sheep. Damn it, nothing. You're still subjected to like, let's say like, you know, your parents is somebody that is common. Okay, if you're an orphan, like, I'm sorry if you're watching this video and you're an orphan, like that sucks. Whatever, whoever your guardian figures are, and if you don't have any, I'm just, for the sake of this argument, I'm going to exclude you. So I'm sorry if you're an orphan. Boo. No one watches that. No one. Never mind. Go fuck yourself. Okay, so like, okay, let's say your parents, for example. If you live in a normal household, you know, okay, let's say you have to like don't care what your parents think about you. It's okay, that's fine, that's doable. Some people do that. That's fine. You know, and then like, okay, what about like the come on, shit, stop. Fuck, sorry, I gotta lock in and get these idiots back in here. Stop it. Oh no, this is gonna be trouble. So it's okay, but you're still like beholden to society. Come on. Okay. You're still beholden to like society's judgment of you in some ways. And not because of like, I'm not saying like on the side of the road, someone looks at you like you're fucking crazy and you gotta like, you have nothing to prove to them. I'm saying from like, I think we all agree that it costs a certain amount of money to like operate in society, right? So you're beholden already to the standards, the financial standards of society, because you have to like, there's like, it's not like you can't just say, I don't give a fuck about how much you're going to charge me for rent. I'm just going to pay what I want. Right. So you have to like give a fuck about what, your living payment is. Right. Okay, fine. Let's say you own a house. You're not paying anyone rent, pay your own utilities. You're off the grid. So you pay your own electric bill. You don't even have electric bills because you're solar powered. Okay. Let's just assume that you've gone all the way and you're just like as independent as you possibly can get. Hey, buddy, let's go. What are you doing? Lock in. Sorry, I'm yelling at a sheep. So let's say, okay, fine. Let's say you're the most independent you possibly could get. You're still beholden to the standards of like conduct, right? You're still subjected to the law of whatever area you're in. So then you kind of have to give a fuck about what the law is saying. And I realize I'm getting ridiculous here, in terms of the extent that I'm applying this like, don't give a fuck about what anyone says. Like, obviously you have to follow the law. Like, I'm not arguing against that. But I think in a certain standard, maybe more accurate, more reasonably, the area of like a career, like it is really, really hard to pursue some type of career, like independent of external validation of any kind, right? Because I mean, think about what percentage of people are in careers that like, let's say you're like, I don't know, you're a botanist or something, right? That's like your undying passion. If you could wake up every day and do anything, you chose to do botany. It's like, well, no, okay, a lot of people don't have the privilege of choosing what, to pursue. But I think what I'm arguing here more than anything, not even that I'm arguing, I'm just saying, is, sorry, sheep, is that everyone operates under a certain, career-wise, everyone operates under a certain level of like, external validation on what they think. And I mean, okay, let's resume this example. How much of a bag of shit do you feel like if you are you're talking to somebody and they go, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm in I own 3 companies and I'm a venture capitalist or something, whatever. And he goes, okay, what do you do? Oh, I work at McDonald's or something, The guy's like, okay, you're a chump, right? And it's like, okay, maybe McDonald's. I mean, this is a terrible example. I don't know where the fuck I'm going with this. I just think it's really hard to remove and exercise true passion in whatever work you end up deciding to do. I think it's hard to really separate the external validation that society asks of you and the career you decide to choose. What the fuck is going on out there? Sorry, there's a bunch of noise going on. It's kind of distracting me. But, yeah, so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a large majority, like over 90% of people aren't in careers because they're like genuinely interested. They either convince themselves that they're interested in something, which is one thing, or they are doing it because it looks good and they like, I don't know, want to be thought of as the I don't know, it sounds cool or something, right? I'm not saying it's the whole reason you job, or it's just because you need the money, right? And it goes back to the same thing where you need some sort of living by societal standards to live by money. So it really just boils down to being really hard to remove the judgment you might feel from people around you in terms of what you're doing, right? It's the same reason I don't go outside with no clothes on, right? Or just with like something barely covering up my genitals. I'm like, fine, maybe that's the most comfortable for me, but to that extent, I care about what people think about me, right? Because I live here and I don't want to get like, I don't know, kicked out because I'm running around almost naked, like on the very edge of the law or whatever would be the minimum amount of legal clothes I had to have on or something. But it's not like, okay, well, that's whatever I want to do. I don't care. Good luck convincing yourself that you don't care to that level, right? But I feel like that doesn't really, for most people, that doesn't really impact them to that level. Like the most pertinent example is just with whatever career you decide to go into, right? And try to rack up accolades in. It is often not this undying passion, is rather just, the practical choice that, you did, right? Or, I don't know, whatever your parents convinced you to do or something, I don't know. Or whatever you shelled out a bunch of money to do in college. That's part of it too. I don't know, I'm just thinking about the judgment of society, and not even society. I think that, like, more people are subjected to their family's expectations than they would like to admit. Like, I run into a shockingly large number of people that are doing something because their father or their dad, or their father or their dad, their parents, in some ways are like, are kind of making them do that, right? So, I'm an idiot. But, yeah, I don't know. It's, not that, again, what's one of my arguing here? Like, I don't know, nothing, I guess. But it's, I don't know. Why am I so stupid? How am I fucking this up? I don't know. I probably just miscounted. Maybe. Did I? No, I didn't. I'm an idiot. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, so that's how my day went. I guess I can talk about the I mentioned this a little bit, but just the fact that some people just aren't motivated by some, like, I think there's a point in time where I definitely was motivated by this, by like some greater cause or some like issue bigger than myself, right? And I'm not saying that I'm not, like, outright. Oh, that's what it is. Wait, what the hell? Oh. Huh? I have no idea. I'm not saying outright, like, I have no interest beyond, like, my own selfish desire. To a certain extent, at this very juncture of my life, I think, especially like really, when you're really young, like if you're like 18 or 17, like it's kind of the same airport protocol where put on your own mask before helping the person next to you type of thing. So, like, to me, it seems counterintuitive, especially these really young people who don't have their shit together, to be like, ordering people around on what to do with their careers and this and that. And it's like, can you even legally drink a beer yet? Or, like, you're like 10. You should be getting your own shit together before, like, organizing some coup or something. I don't know. Whatever it is that, kids these days are doing. This is so stupid. What the hell I'm talking about? I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. But I don't know. What is this? But yeah, especially when you're young, like, you should be selfish at that juncture. Like, especially if you're like under, if you're under 18, you should absolutely be acting in ways that are going to be in your best interest. Like, you can't. I think it's smartest to act that way, at least to start, right? I feel like the people that should really start looking at causes greater than themselves are people that have graduated to have influence beyond themselves, right? So, like, I'm broke. What influence do I have beyond myself? Like, really, what else is in my wheelhouse of control? And I guess that's really my main point, is that control what you're able to control. And especially if you're young and, like, maybe you're passionate about these certain issues or something, think about how you're going to have the most control over those issues, right? Play a long game, right? Because, like, one thing, let's say you're passionate about, I'll bring the scuba diving example back because it's just stupid enough for one of these videos. You're passionate about scuba diving. Scuba diving is a perfect metaphor for life, and more people should be, talking about and scuba diving normally. One thing you could do is to, petition for scuba diving and raise awareness or something. Raising awareness is something I have a whole beef with too, as like a blanket term to be, I don't know, holding up a picket sign or something. But yeah, so one strategy is to, do the grassroots approach and really just, show everyone how much you care about scuba diving, whatever. And that's fine. That's like, but how many people are you going to influence with that? How many people are you going to, maybe over the course of your life, you can convert a couple thousand of these, passionate scuba divers or something. I don't know. That the sphere of influence there still seems pretty limited. It's on a local scale, So if you're really interested in getting anyone to scuba dive, because that's your thing, is you're the scuba dive guy everyone's got to be the scuba diving master. It'll save humanity. I'm picking a stupid example, but it could be something. Think about how you're going to be able to impact more people in the long run. Like, okay, so, one solution would be to like start some scuba diving business or something and scale it. And then you'll end up turning into some money hungry goblin or something. So it's not really the best idea there, but maybe, establishing, banding together with other people that are interested in scuba diving. And I don't know. Think about ways that are more wide scale than your like individual something. And you also like, I guess in my mind, no, some people just don't give a fuck about scuba diving. Some just don't care. I don't care about scuba diving. There's not anything you can do that's going to convince me that scuba diving is that important. It doesn't matter how much you like, say that scuba diving was going to save the planet. Scuba diving is going to do all this stuff. I don't buy it. I don't care. Like I'm passionate about fencing, not scuba diving. I think fencing is a smart way to do, And there's ultimately this never-ending argument where it's this scuba diver's angry because, they dedicated their life to, raising awareness for scuba diving, and then here I am. I don't give a fuck about that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't buy it. I think it's bullshit. Scuba diving is, whatever. And, you're not really going anywhere, right? You're not able to influence me ever, right? And so like, okay, I don't know, maybe if like this was a dictatorship and you were, Stalin or something, you could just force me to love scuba diving, right? Okay, that's like the totalitarian example of like how to influence people. But in a democracy, at least, I think you have to accept that a lot of people don't give a fuck about your scuba diving. They don't give a fuck about whatever issues that you're gonna dedicate your whole life to. Like, I don't care. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it should be shamed that you don't give a fuck. People, especially like academics, will, can talk in depth about their, research or whatever it is that they spend a lot of time on. And most people don't care. And whether they're going to admit that or not, maybe they won't. I don't know. I'll admit it for them. They don't care. No one cares, right? Let's say you studied slugs for 40 years. You're the guy that knows slugs. You're the slugs guy. Nobody knows slugs more than you do. What could you possibly do to convince me that slugs are like, if you're really good at like convincing people that slugs are important, maybe I'll sit through your presentation, but like to some extent you should realize that no one gives a fuck about slugs. I don't care. A lot of people don't care. So then it points back to this like, I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm just going to do it because I want to do it. But it's tough because deep down you really want people to care about slugs. So, I don't know. What's the solution? I'm not sure if there is one. But you can't be mad at people if they don't like slugs. I don't care. I didn't study slugs. Didn't study slug science or whatever. I don't know why why would I pick these ridiculous examples? I'm such an idiot. But I don't blame the people that don't care. Like myself, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't care about. And unashamedly, like unabashedly, I don't care about some stuff. And I'll tell people that, even people that are like passionate about whatever it is, I don't care. Like I'm glad you like it, right? I wish I liked something so much that I would put my, personal and professional reputation on the line to vouch for it. But I don't have that yet, at least, right? I mean, not in a way that I'm going to go like cry outside about how much I care about slugs and how people that are ignoring slugs are doing whatever. I don't know. I just, to some extent where I'm at now, I'm a very individualist concern, just because I'm still trying to fasten my own mask. So to me, it makes the most sense to not be concerned with other people's mask, because I need to put my own on first. When someone's talking about all the masks that are yet to, the metaphorical mask I'm talking about, like using the airplane metaphor, if you're confused about what the hell I'm talking about. I'm confusing myself. I think I'm just recording this too late. I think that's the ultimate problem here. I should record these earlier in the day. This is the latest I've ever recorded one of these, I think, but I don't know, maybe it's the most. It's not going to be the best one of anything. I don't care. These aren't supposed to be good anyway, so whatever you're expecting, I'm sorry. But yeah, like metaphorically, I'm going to put my own mask on. I got my own problems to worry about. I don't want to get wrapped up in your drama. Like, maybe when I have all my stuff figured out, when I'm like, have achieved this like healthy level of stability on all these different fronts, and I'm like bored, yeah, maybe I'll sign up for your campaign to help slugs or something. But for right now, don't ever talk to me about slugs ever, because I'm not interested at all, and I will not be for the foreseeable future. So quit bothering me, and don't be so shocked that no one cares about slugs. Like, they're a pretty boring creature anyway. I don't know why slugs is a terrible example. I don't know why I even picked that, but I'm not questioning. I'm not going to question my subconscious that comes up with that. Subconscious is a very, very interesting thing. I wonder if it is like, it's true that it does control, so much of our, thoughts and actions. I'm not totally convinced that it does, but that might just be my conscious talking, trying to ignore my subconscious. Because, they say that like your conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg, and your subconscious is like, so many iterations and levels below that. And, is secretly making all these decisions behind the doors, which, again, I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to a lot of this stuff, so I'm not going to buy it outright, maybe. But it's interesting to think about something that could have so much influence that we mostly disregard. Like, do you see people run around talking about the subconscious a lot? I certainly don't. So I don't know. It's interesting to think that something is could potentially be so pertinent that people don't really. Because I guess it's also something that's really, really hard to study. Like the subconscious mind, we don't even understand the conscious mind. Like neurons and things is like, not to say neurons are a mystery, but the collection of them is mysterious in a lot of ways, and even more than that, like the subconscious is even less understood. I guess there's a lot of progress to be made on like just neuroscience as a whole, just because it's a very, very interesting topic that is I don't know, I feel like we haven't discovered much of anything, right? I know I can picture a brain, right? But outside of that, like, other than the basic function of a neuron, what else, what more do we know? I don't know. I'd love to talk to a neuroscientist, a good one at least. I could talk to some quack that's going to tell me what I see in Wikipedia, but a good one I think would be interesting to talk to. Someone that really was on the cutting edge of some kind of research. I don't know. Then again, at some point, it'll just come off like his pitch for slugs. I don't know. See, I'd be closer to getting behind like some kind of neuroscientist on something interesting. Not that I would ever want to study neuroscience, because again, some of it I'd just rather be a black box in terms of how the brain works. It's not like I'm like fascinated and I could stay up all night pondering about how the brain works. But it would be something I would be interested in, like, watching while I eat, right? That's another thing I've noticed, especially, I don't know if it's the COVID era of things, but I have this, I don't know if it's a bad habit or it's a bad habit, I guess I'll just submit. I feel like I always have a need to watch something while I'm eating. Like just eating in silence or eating without looking at something is like it's a problem. I can't do it. Like I could if you challenge me to do it, but it's a natural tendency now just to put on something to watch while I eat. And generally it turns into more than just, the 15 minutes I'm eating. Sometimes it's, 10 minutes after, sometimes it's 20, 30 minutes even, extending kind of my eating time just as an excuse to watch something else. Mostly just whatever YouTube videos pop up, and my recommendation sucks. It's all a bunch of garbage. I've gotten to the point now where I spend more of my time suggesting that, like, don't suggest me this channel, don't suggest this video on videos. And then YouTube has the audacity to continue to try to shove that down my throat. Like, I'm trying to assist their algorithm in recommending me stuff that, you think you know me that well? Really? You think you know me so well that I want to see? I don't want to see any of this. That's why I'm telling you I don't want to see it. But you think your machine learning algorithms know me so well that I want to watch this? I don't. I'm going to continue to tell you to go fuck yourself until you stop recommending it to me. Because I'm not interested. I don't know, that's my... I see it a lot, and it's frustrating when the freaking algorithm keeps recommending me this crappy stuff. I think part of it's I don't spend enough time, because that's like these algorithms are only as good as the data they get. So, the garbage in, garbage out mentality or thing. Whereas, like, if I gave it more information to work off of, like if I spent a few hours only clicking on videos that I liked, it would get better. But I'm not going to do that, right? I'm playing right into their hand. That's what it wants me to do. I'm not going to, waste my time watching all this garbage. Hope this works. It probably will. I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll work. Alright, that's the last thing I'll talk about, since I have a few minutes left. Is public speaking is a very, very hard thing. And maybe because we're not biologically inclined to be public speakers. We have more evolved recently to do so, right? Because I think about, we were mostly nomadic in the sense that we were small groups, talking to a few others, right? I have no issue talking with a handful of others, but big crowds, like hundreds and thousands of people, is a very foreign concept to our more recent ancestors, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, when that many people together was generally not I'm speaking before Roman Colosseum times even, because there's a certain pileup of people that existed then. But I'm talking about when we were more nomadic, so maybe tens of thousands of years ago, when language and culture wasn't really fully developed. There was what the hell am I doing? I don't know. There wasn't really a setting where at least individuals were, forced to speak in front of that many others, right? You're mostly in small groups, going from one area to the next, kind of hunting and gathering. And it was only recently in the evolutionary scope of things where we started to kind of, have these big crowds of people. And maybe it's a more genetic thing where there's only a certain subset that were gifted this ability to be okay with public speaking. But I feel like the anxiety that comes with speaking to larger groups is mostly universal. I mean, I don't know. There are people lying that say that they don't get nervous at all. So if I gave you a microphone in front of 100,000 people, you could just go up there and do stand up or something. I think everyone to a certain extent is some of it comes back to the whole how you want to be seen, right? You don't want to be seen as a fool, even if you're not. Like it's you still there's some certain power you're giving other people when you're trying not to look like an idiot in front of them. If you truly didn't give a fuck what they thought, then it's kind of impossible not to give a fuck, right? At least to some level. There's some level of fuck you have to give, but it can be small, right? You can try to reduce the amount of fuck you give, but you can't completely eliminate the fucks you give, which I guess is my observation. One of my go-to favorite sayings along that same line, I guess, is so stupid. So I don't give a fuck about nothing. That's what I say. Anytime there's like a moment where I'm, have to express some amount of vulnerability or care towards something, I don't give a fuck about nothing. Generally, it's like the same saying, or it's like YOLO, or here goes nothing, or like nothing good happens after midnight. All these sayings that revolve around something bad is about to happen or something bad has just happened, right? And mine is I don't give a fuck about nothing. So same way some people go, oh YOLO, bro. I just go, I don't give a fuck about nothing. It's just my own little spicy take on doing dumb stuff. That it's ultimately because that's what precedes any. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever done something like tremendous that was preceded by YOLO, bro. That's not what they said when they landed on the moon, right? They had this great planned out quote, But when your buddy Duncan broke his leg jumping off a cliff, he said YOLO, bro, right? So on the same line, I say I don't give a fuck about nothing before I say or do something that is not always regrettable, but at least is some head ass idea that I don't know. I don't even know why I felt the need to share that. I just think it's funny that people have either adopted or generated their own little quotes for things that they say before shit goes down or whatever, however you want to phrase it. I don't know. But anyway, I'll cut it off there. I mean, this episode was a disaster. Oh, I just killed my carrot. All right, well, I'll fix that real quick. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. This one was kind of a disaster. So my apologies for being all over the place. I'll record the next one a little earlier in the day probably, but I'm out of town for a couple days, so it'll be a couple days before I record again. But it doesn't matter. These videos are asynchronous, so it's not like that. I hope you're one of the people who are on my little schedule of uploading, but most people aren't. So there's no use in me specifying when I'm going to come back or not record or whatever. I could not post for a year and no one gives a fuck. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment. Let me know what your saying is for here goes nothing, break a leg, YOLO, whatever it is. There's some other good ones out there. I'll think of them next time. But anyway, I don't give a fuck about nothing. Peace.